How did I get into the industry? That's my father's fault, firstly. He was course manager at a local golf club. He's been there 40 years, or was 40 years. I used to help him through the summer as school. Every summer, help build golf courses with him. Went through, got an apprenticeship, and was successful to get a full-time job. Was at a golf course for 13 years full-time. Then an opportunity came up at Devonshire Park, which I couldn't refuse. So applied, got the job, and been here for 11 years now. And that's where I am here. The International, being biased, is a fantastic tournament that is growing exponentially at the moment. We've suddenly gone from a 7-day event to a 9-day event, with the practice making that a 2-week period. Last year, or this year, sorry, for 2017, as I understand it, it reached 18 million viewers worldwide, which tells you exactly the audience this event is commanding. Challenges as regards to courts, etc. As the players rightly are improving everything they want to do, from their diets to their health, etc., etc., so are we. We have to keep up with them. We have to make sure that the sport improves. That's always a challenge. The media pressures are a challenge. Weather, we're a tiny little island, we've got a lot of weather issues here. Luckily we've got a microclimate for us sometimes, but I think the biggest challenge is you are showcasing your craft to a worldwide audience. That's always a challenge, but it's something we look forward to. That's why you do the job. Being on the south coast, it does fire some different challenges. We are officially the sunniest place in the UK. We are protected to some degree. We have the peninsula just behind us, or in front of me, of Beachy Head. We usually get a slightly less annual rainfall than the rest of the country, which means that as far as growth goes, sometimes we can actually be ahead of the game by anything up to about 4 weeks. We can be ahead of growth, but then you can unfortunately get the split when it happens with the weather. It goes out in the channel and just keeps circling here. But all in all, I wouldn't swap this little niche of the south coast. Criticism, unfortunately, is something that we all face, and what makes it very different within groundsmanship is you're showcasing your craft to a worldwide audience. We are all subject to it, we all face it. It is part and parcel of this job, I'm afraid. I think criticism is, as long as it's constructive, it's helpful. If it's done in a way that can improve the industry, if it can improve what you're delivering, it's fine. But I think what it does is it just shows the pressures that everybody is under, and it only takes one mistake. And I think more reward should be given to the successes that are achieved instead of focusing on any negatives, because we all can make mistakes, but all in all, everyone within this industry does so much above and beyond what they should be doing, just for the love of the craft. The preparations prior and post to the International are intense. Our season starts April and finishes in September. The International being in end of June, finishing July. What we have around us here in Centre Court is we actually have temporary stands. So where the south stand is situated, we have 15 days. By the time that's removed, we have 15 days to actually get that back to county standard courts for the British Isles finals. It is hugely challenging. There's nothing other to say on that. The demands for every tournament, they rightly expect tip-top, the best. and we want nothing more than to deliver that. However, we do have to remember that this is a living, breathing surface. It's prone to stress, disease, no more than you and I. And that's when, unfortunately, the less resources you have, the more resourceful you become. And it is what the joy of this job is. Them challenges, them pressures are what you do it for. So you don't want to eliminate them, otherwise there's no motivation. Technology in the industry. Technology's always advancing, from the mowers to aeration to every single thing. But for me, the biggest advance has been the mindset is more on plant science now, and the demands for you within management or any tier in management is you are in a position where you have to monitor, record and evaluate everything you're doing. It's not to justify why you're doing it, it's so that you can actually evaluate it for year on year on year. The technology that's involved in that does increase. That's computers, that's all these side shoots. So for example, say 11 years ago when I started here, we weren't using Clegg hammers, moisture meters, we weren't doing all the what I call plant science testing. Now it's a given. As soon as you come in as an apprentice, you're expected to be able to do it, expected to understand to a degree on what you're doing and how you can apply that. If I said 10 years ago we're doing growth degree days to actually assess when we are not going to use a product, you would have been laughed at. Now it's a given, and I welcome these advances, because ultimately it's only going to help me, the individual, it'll only help the end user for what they're using, but ultimately it helps the industry, and I'm all for that. I think the biggest issue is going to be the limitations or restrictions that are placed upon you for what products you can and can't use, and the manner in which you can and can't use them. The first thing that comes to mind for everyone is going to be leather jacket control, worm control, pest control in general, and I'm sure that things are only going to get more stringent, and we are trying everything we can at the moment to keep ahead of that. We are already trialling and testing organic approaches, cultural approaches above and beyond what we've tried before, because as these pressures increase, all that will happen is that, as we've said before about the criticism, the expectations will just grow and grow and grow. And I think it is really important that we all act now together as one in this industry and help each other in your findings how we can help it, because the pressures are going to mount and mount. Yeah, of course there is, and we've got it and we're not sharing it. Is there an elixir? No. I think, very simply put, you have to tailor everything you do to your site. If I was to speak to somebody down the road and give them the blueprint of here, would it work? No. Would it help? Maybe, but it wouldn't be a success. And that's where I like this industry, because you yourself as the individual, you have to tailor everything to your specific site. But I'm going to continue to tell everyone there is an elixir. I have it and you're not having it. Without it, you are absolutely nothing. The only way we are successful is because we are a team. We have 3 different sites. We have here at Devonshire Park, we have 3 courts at a site known as Romper, and we also have 4 that the LTA have invested in at Moira House School. Now we've only got a team of 5 now qualified ground staff, and we increased that to 2 extra summer hands, which is usually from the months of about May till end of August. I can't stress enough the importance of your team. They work incredibly hard. They do fall out with me sometimes because I don't let them take their holidays. But as an example for that, these lads, they don't have their holidays from April through to, it's usually about October when we finished our renovation. They're doing 14-hour days, and during the tournament they will work from the 1st of May, and their first day off I think is about the 7th of July. It is extremely tiring, extremely hard. They see more of each other than they do of their own families, but it would never work if they weren't as good as they do, and I've got nothing but praise for them. Proud to bits of them. Absolutely great lads, great lads. And I think the first thing you should always look at is your plan. What are you hoping to achieve, and where are you? So you start now, and I would say for anyone, for us, what we do is we evaluate what we've got and we look at where we want to go, and then that's where we start planning what we're going to do and how we're going to do that. For us, what we're doing, we will be removing about 75% of the organic material here. We don't use corros, we still use verticuts, that'd be gradons, etc., scarifying units. Then we're taking cores out. It's a bit of a throwback to the past, taking cores. It's something that we tried last year, we're going to do it this year. And then once you've done that, you've removed your vegetation, we then start putting soil improvers in. Now that, again, that depends on where you're starting from, what your analysis is telling you to where you want to go. One of the things that we do use here quite a lot, and that is humic acids. I'm a firm believer in the benefits of what they bring, not only to plant health, the mature plants that are still in the ground following the renovation, but also encouraging the newly sown plants. It gives it that little bit of an extra oomph to get going, and it's one of the reasons why, again, we chose the limagrain seed with its kickstart on the coating to get it going. Once we've actually sown, we'll wait to the second leaf stage, and then we can start looking at cutting and how we bring it down through the season, ready for start in April. Our season is very long. There are many venues that have completed their renovation work, and as you can see behind me, we're still running the South of England show. It is a long season, a tough season. It's tough not just for us, but it's tough on the surfaces. I wouldn't swap that at all. The expectations are growing and growing and growing. I'd like to believe that everyone here, even now at the end of season, they are playing on, as I would view it, the best surfaces that they can play on at this time of year. What it does do, the negative side to it, when the season goes on so long, you are then looking at your renovation period being later and later, and that's when you start to get into what's commonly known as the disease periods, which for us, well, that will be around October, November, and Mother Nature wouldn't start sowing seeds then, and you know, there's no reason why we should really, because we're just going to fight ourselves. But this season, it's been a good one so far. It's been very good. We've got 2 days left of this level. I'm very pleased, so long may it continue. I don't want to sound blasé. I don't actually. I think all the time that the All England Championships are proving to be as successful as they are, the demand for players to play on top quality surfaces is always going to be there. When you look at the likes of us, Birmingham, Nottingham, Manchester, Queens, they're all producing some wonderful surfaces, and I don't see pressure at the moment for this surface. All the time everything is being as successful as it is, and it is successful. Devonshire Park, that was originally years ago given to the people of Eastbourne. by the Duke of Devonshire, and there's been tennis played here, as I believe, since 1874. Now owned by local authority, very well supported. Like all local authorities, budgetary restrictions are only increasing. The demand for you to be more resourceful, more clever with the way that you're spending your money, how you're using what you're doing, is there, and it's only going to get tighter and tighter. Essentially, you're using public money, so you have to be very, very astute with that. Would we be better as a private club? Can't answer that because we haven't been. We are very well supported. This event and the subsequent events bring a lot into the town with hoteliers, brings a lot of media attention to the town. As I said before, for Eastbourne to be televised to 40 plus countries, commanding audiences of 18, is brilliant, and the local authority support us the best they can, and long may that continue. Yes, because essentially what you're doing is you are creating a microclimate within already a microclimate that is surrounding areas. You'll find that areas get less sun or more sun. You'll find that air movement decreases. Your disease management has to change. This is where, nicely, I would say, things like this is what separates people, because you have to be extremely tuned in to what is going on at all times, because what happens at Romper, as I said, one of our other sites, doesn't necessarily happen here, and you're forever just making slight adjustments everywhere to compensate for these changes. You can see behind us now there is no temporary stands. During the Aegon there's temporary stands. That makes a massive difference, but again, these are all challenges that I enjoy because it's what keeps you on your toes. Simple as that. I'll let you know when I've succeeded in it. I have to say I'm very passionate about this craft, because it is a craft. And for someone myself, I started doing summer hand work, which was, what we'd call the menial labour work all the way through. I would say to anyone starting in this industry, it's fantastic, and the only thing that stops you is you. If you want to, and there's nothing wrong with it, if you wish to trim the sides of motorways, you do it, and you be the best at that you are doing. If you want to, you can sit down and you can learn plant science, you can go on and on and on. You can be top of your game in football, golf, rugby, anything you want. The only thing that stops you is you. You need motivation, you need the willingness to move around, but above all, you need that desire to want to learn, and don't be scared of change. But that change, don't fight it, because it will happen. You've got to work with Mother Nature, not against her, but don't let yourself get caught. Just keep pushing.